Hi, my name is Mark. So as you can see, we're back to the series where I compose a song and show you guys my process. Again, because I usually only record one of these episodes every week, and I only compose when I'm doing those episodes. It's actually interesting, at least for me, to see the song come together, because when I usually write a song, it mostly comes together quite easily and fast. But because I'm doing it in chunks every week, it sort of makes me think about it and compose in a different way, I guess. And now that I think about it, we're actually not that far of the ending here. Maybe like 65-70% of the way through. Probably like another week or two, maybe 3. And I think this series will probably be finished and we can get to recording the song and I can document that process there. But hey, I'm probably getting way ahead of myself. For now, let me just show you the song for those who haven't really watched the other episodes or this is your first episode. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't really watched the other episodes, I highly suggest you do, because in every single episode, like I mentioned before, I do another part or I take a part we did before and sort of revamp it a little bit. And I usually explain what I do there. So if there's something that I do in here that you're like, what is that chord, or how did you think about it, or how did you get there? You can probably go check out the other episodes, or at least leave a comment in the comment section below, and I'll either address it in the comment section, or I'll talk about it in next week's video. But whatever, I've been probably rambling until now. For now, let me just play the song and see what we're working with. Okay, so that's what we're working with. And again, I have a general idea of what to do. Vaguely, I must think that we should now build it up a little bit and try to get one of the other sections that we did before that we didn't really quite use, or just play it once and then didn't really touch again, and maybe make it a little bit more dense so that we can sort of, I don't know, implode or explode into the chorus. I think maybe make it a little bit more dense and more intense in a way, so that when we get to the final chorus or to the final part or something, it can feel like we worked our asses off to get to the final chorus, and it doesn't just feel like it's something that would eventually come to us. And don't worry if that all sounds a little bit weird or vague or something like it. Don't worry, I'll explain it. But before I do, I just want to say, please subscribe to my channel. As you're probably aware, YouTube acts a little bit weird. Even if you subscribe to the channel, those channel's videos may really not show up in your subscription box. And even if you ring the little notification bell thingy below, you still really will not be notified of that channel's content. So if you want to stay tuned to my videos, not only do I suggest subscribing and turning on all the notifications, but also follow me on social media. Not only do I post some exclusive stuff there, like improvised solos and Javier backing tracks, and generally wherever I'm up to at the moment, but I always post about my videos. Links for usual suspects will be below, like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, but in channel at Guitar. And since you're down there, please consider leaving a like and share this video on social media. I'd highly appreciate it. But getting back to the video itself, like I mentioned before, I was thinking of, at least since we came from this part, which is sort of the main riff, and we made this sort of classical guitar thing. Go watch the other episode if you haven't really watched it. We tried to take the main riff of the song and sort of slow it down a little bit. Now I think we should speed it up, maybe get the part that we did before and just paste it in.
5 minutes later.
Again, I was thinking of mostly something like this, just for a start. Again, like I mentioned before, we had the riff and it was a little bit slower, and now we're building it up so that it returns to its natural form, I guess. I think it works alright. I just now need to get the other part that we did, sort of like the revamped version of it. The reharmonized version of it.
2 very boring minutes later.
Okay, so I did nothing fancy really. I'll play it to you first and then I'll explain it. Again, let's go from the last part that it sounds calm. Again, it's pretty much the same thing as we had before. The only part that changed a little bit is this last part right here after the variation. Before it was doing like this pattern, again, sort of like the main riff, I guess. It was just a harmonized version, but I was audioing this sort of a thing where it just goes setting. So I just checked out which notes I think sounded good, and then this part's the part that changes a little bit, because it goes a little bit outside the key. In this part, we're sort of outlining a G major chord, again being the 5 of C minor, because we're sort of in C minor. Just in the last chord, we go to like a G augmented sort of a thing. We're hitting a D, which is the 5th of G, and we're hitting that E flat, which is the minor 6th of G, which works in the context of C minor, C harmonic minor, that sort of a thing. It sort of outlines this G major flat 13 chord. But in the last chord right here, with that G augmented sort of a thing, we're hitting an F sharp, which in the case of G is the major 7 of G, and in the case of C minor is this sort of sharp 4, and that sets us well to the next section, because we're going to take this bridge that we did between the second chorus and the second verse, this part right here. Which is in this sort of G Phrygian sort of a thing, and G Phrygian being the 5th mode of C minor, it works well, and because the melody is going for that F sharp, it resolves well to the G. Again, it's a cool setup that we can do. Let me just copy this part, paste it in there, and see how we can modify it a little bit. Because this is one of those situations where, again, we could just take one riff, do it again, take with another riff, do it again, and then go get another riff that we didn't do quite much, and then just do it again just like it is, and it would sound fine. But for us musicians and composers, again, we like to get the same themes like every other listener, but we liked our themes to develop a little bit. But there's a really interesting line between taking a theme and developing it so it's not just the same thing all over and over again, and having this like collection of riffs and parts. I could maybe put this like an octave up or something. But now the one thing I want to do is, again, because I'm a guitar player and I'm a metalhead, I can't not think about those genty parts, and I'm thinking of maybe taking this part right here and keep the same rhythm, but make notes a little bit more shorter so that they have some stops between them.
5 minutes later.
Again, something like it. It's not quite finished, but just so to get an idea of what rhythm I'm talking about. Again, the rhythmic structure is the exact same that we had before, but now we're doing shorter notes so that every note has a very quick attack, and then it goes ta 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 ta. And again, we can even make this a little bit polyrhythmical, I guess, when we add drums and other percussion instruments. But hey, for now we'll just keep it simple and do the general part we're going to play, and then after it we can add some extra stuff. Let me see what we can do now.
15 minutes later.
Okay, so I think I've got something that I'm mostly okay with. Again, I would need to hear it with the other part, but I guess I'll leave it to the next video of next week, because I'll be honest with you, I haven't really been recording for that long compared to some of the other videos, but I'm actually in a hurry because I've got a bunch of other things to do this week, and I haven't really gotten that much time to record videos this week, so I'll just play you this and explain what I do and we'll finish the video. I'm sorry if you wanted a bigger video. Okay, so we're coming from this last part. And after this part, we would enter the final chorus, which we're going to do next week. Again, this part, like I mentioned before, most of it is, at least the first part, is the exact same part as before with the same rhythmical structure, but we just shorten some of the notes so that the attack is faster. Again, trying to go for that jazzy sort of a thing. Again, I'm a guitar player. The only one that's a little bit longer is this part, right here. I want this note right here, kind of hold like ten, you know, I think it will sound good. And after we do this part, again, we do mostly the same thing, but we add some rhythmical variations so that, again, it doesn't sound all the same, but it's still the same notes and it's still the same sort of a thing. It's just like we added an extra spice to something that we already had before. And let me play the full part. And this part here is special. This part right here. Just trying to add this little tension, like it pushes back like that, like it's stuck in the same place. And this part, again, if you can't recognize it because it's slightly different, it's that offbeat rhythm that we've been doing before, but just time again, the notes are just a little bit shorter with the fast attack, and it's the exact same thing. Again, it's the same style of notes, but it's actually an interesting transition to the chorus, because if you look at this bass line right here, after this part, that part is the melody part that's used in the last chorus to get to this part. Where the melody goes dun dun dun, and now the bass line goes dun dun dun. It's an interesting thing that maybe perhaps regular listeners won't really notice, and even perhaps musicians that aren't really paying close attention won't notice, but it's an interesting thing that we can add between parts, because we're using the ending of part A to go to the beginning of part B. Now, later on in the song, we can use the ending of the part A as the ending of the part B to go to the beginning of the part A. Again, it's a little bit confusing, but if you think about it, it makes sense, or at least I think it makes sense. And again, after this, we would get the chorus, but I don't really have much time to dedicate to it right now, so I think it will probably make sense to just leave it for next episode instead of me rushing it right now, because I think we can do some interesting things in the last chorus part thingy. So yeah, I think we're going to end at this. Again, thank you so very much for watching. Again, I'm sorry this was a shorter episode, but hey, I've got some other stuff to attend to that I can't really give up on. But if you anyways enjoy this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on all the notifications. Again, I usually do videos like this with lessons. Again, I have this series where I compose a song and show you guys my process, but I also do other composing lessons and songwriting lessons, like how to use chords and applying music theory and stuff like that. And like I mentioned before, I'm a guitar player, so I also do guitar related content. So I also do guitar lessons, like talking about soloing and improvising and playing coming out of the box and stuff like that. And again, in the same way how to apply music theory and stuff like that. But I also have this series called Guitarist Week, which you can think about it as a sort of news segment-ish thing. Again, it's not exactly like the drama alert of guitar, but you can check it out if you're into that sort of stuff. And if you have any suggestions for videos, I have this dedicated series called Yate, You Ask I Teach. I know, pretty boring, generic, and self-explanatory title, but as you can probably much guess, and as the name implies, in that series I pretty much teach anything you guys have in the comment section below that is, well, at least guitar and or music related, of course. So if there's something you want me to talk about, just leave it in the comment section below with the hashtag Yate. And if there's something on this song, like a riff or a melody, that you want to take and make your own version of, or even make your own version of the song if you're into that sort of a thing, please do it and post it on YouTube or Instagram and tag me on it, because again, I'd really like to see and share what you guys can come up with. But yeah, for now, because I've been probably rambling until now, let's just end it with this. Cheers!